Welcome back to Philosophy Unpacked. Today, we are diving into a really challenging and profound text from Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra about the nature of virtue.
This sounds fascinating. Nietzsche always has a way of turning common ideas completely upside down, so I'm curious to see what he does with virtue.
He certainly does. He begins by saying that loud, dramatic messages, like thunder and heavenly fireworks, are only for those who are lazy-minded or half asleep.
That's an interesting start. So what kind of communication does he value instead? What speaks to the people who are truly awake and listening?
He says that beauty's voice speaks gently and appeals only to the most awakened souls. It's a quiet, subtle insight, not a loud command from on high.
So he's suggesting that profound truths don't need to be shouted. They are felt and understood by those who are ready to hear them.
Precisely. And this quiet voice of beauty reveals a core problem to him. It laughs at the so-called virtuous people because they all seem to want one thing.
And what is that one thing they all want? I'm on the edge of my seat here. This is setting up quite a mystery for us.
He says they want to be paid besides. They expect a reward for their virtue, like getting heaven in exchange for their life on earth.
So he's critiquing a transactional approach to morality, where you do good things now to get a prize later on, like some kind of cosmic payment plan.
Exactly. He goes even further and says he doesn't even teach that virtue is its own reward, which is a radical statement for many people to hear.
Wow, he's rejecting even that common philosophical idea. So why does he feel so strongly about this? What's the fundamental problem with rewards?
His great sorrow is that the very idea of reward and punishment has been woven into the foundation of everything, even into the basis of our souls.
That makes sense. From childhood, we're taught to think in terms of rewards for good behavior and punishments for bad. It's a very deep-seated concept.
It is, and that's why he says his words must act like a plowshare, digging deep to uproot the very foundations of people's souls.
A plowshare is a very strong image. So he sees his philosophy as a tool to completely overturn our most basic assumptions about morality and virtue.
Yes, the goal is to bring all the hidden secrets to light and, in the process, to separate the falsehoods we believe from our actual truth.
Okay, so if the idea of virtue for reward is a falsehood, what is the truth that he's trying to uncover with this philosophical plow?
He suggests our true nature is actually too pure for the filthy words of vengeance, punishment, and retribution. That's a surprisingly optimistic view from Nietzsche. It sounds like he believes our authentic self is inherently good, without needing these harsh concepts.
He frames it beautifully with his first major analogy. He says true virtue is like a mother's love for her child. It's not done for payment.
That's a perfect example that everyone can understand. A mother's love is inherent and unconditional. She doesn't ask to be paid for it.
Exactly. He says your virtue is your dearest self. It's not an external thing you put on, it's the very core of who you are.
He also mentions something about a ring's thirst. What does that particular analogy refer to in this context of understanding virtue?
The ring's thirst symbolizes an internal drive for completion. Just as a ring turns and struggles to reach itself again, our virtue is a natural, cyclical force within us.
So true virtue is this powerful internal drive that is always seeking to express itself, not something we do because we're told to.
That's the idea. And he offers one more powerful image. He compares a virtuous act to a star that has gone out in the night sky.
That sounds so poetic and a little bit sad. What is he trying to convey with the image of a dying star's light traveling through space?
He's saying that even when the work of your virtue is done and forgotten, its light, its effect and influence is still traveling onward through the universe.
That's a truly beautiful way to think about our actions, having a lasting impact, even if we don't see the immediate reward or recognition for them.
So to sum up his core idea, your virtue is yourself. It is not an outward thing, a skin you can shed, or a cloak you wear.
That's a very clear distinction. So if that is what he considers authentic virtue, he must have a lot to say about the false versions.
Oh, he certainly does. He then presents a whole gallery of what he sees as mistaken and corrupted ideas about what it means to be virtuous.
I'm ready for it. Let's walk through this gallery of false virtues. What's the first one that he points out to the reader?
The first is for those who see virtue as a form of suffering or penance, as if being good means constantly writhing under the lash.
That definitely sounds like a very joyless and guilt-ridden approach to morality, where virtue is equated with pain and self-denial.
Next, he points to those who call virtue the slothfulness of their vices. This is a very cynical but sharp observation on human nature.
The slothfulness of their vices. Can you give an example of what that would look like in a person's behavior or their mindset?
He says when their hatred and jealousy simply get tired and relax, they call their newfound inactivity justice. It's the absence of vice, not the presence of virtue.
I see. So it's not a positive choice to be just, but rather a temporary pause in their usual negative emotions, which they then mislabel as virtue.
Then there are those who are drawn downwards by their inner demons. For them, virtue becomes a desperate longing for what they feel they lack.
This sounds like people who feel deeply flawed, and so they define God or virtue as everything that they are not, as a kind of distant ideal.
Precisely. And for others, virtue is like a heavy drag on a cart going downhill. They talk a lot about dignity, but it's just a burdensome brake.
I can picture that. It's the person who is always complaining about how difficult it is to be a good person, making it seem like a terrible chore.
He also describes people who are like wound-up 8-day clocks. They just tick, and they want everyone to call their mechanical ticking virtue.
That's a hilarious image. It perfectly captures someone who is just going through the motions of being good without any real heart or thought behind it.
Nietzsche says he finds these types amusing and that he would gladly wind them up with my mockery just to watch them whir and spin.
This is quite a comprehensive list. Are there any other major false virtues that he feels important for us to understand?
Yes, a very important one. He talks about people who are proud of their little bit of righteousness and use it as a weapon against others.
The self-righteous personality. The person who elevates themselves by judging and looking down on everyone else for their supposed flaws.
He says when they declare, "I am just," it always sounds more like they are saying, "I am justly revenged." Their virtue is a tool for malice.
That really twists the entire concept of justice into something ugly. It becomes a personal vendetta instead of a noble principle.
Then you have the opposite, those who define virtue as passivity. They sit quietly in their swamp and say virtue is just not biting anyone.
That feels very modern. It's the idea of just going with the flow, not causing trouble, and simply adopting whatever opinion is given to you.
He also critiques those who see virtue as just a set of attitudes or poses, like kneeling in prayer but having a heart that knows nothing of it.
So after listing all of these flawed ideas, it seems like his main point is that almost everyone has a self-serving or mistaken definition of virtue.
That's right. But his ultimate goal isn't just to stand there and scold all these liars and fools, as he calls them. He has a deeper purpose.
Okay, so what is the point of all this criticism? What does he actually want his friends or his readers to do with this knowledge?
He wants us to become weary of the old corrupted words we've learned, like reward, retribution, punishment, and even unselfishness.
Wait, I can understand the others, but why does he want us to become weary of the word unselfish? Isn't that considered a cornerstone of being good?
Because he offers a new formula. He says that your very self be in your action as the mother is in the child. It's not about denying the self.
So it's not about erasing yourself for the sake of others, but about ensuring your actions are a true and authentic expression of your best self.
Exactly. He ends with a final comforting analogy. He says he's like a wave that washed away the children's playthings from the shore, and now they cry.
Losing our old, comfortable ideas about virtue can feel scary, like a child losing their favorite toys. That makes a lot of sense.
But he says the very same wave will bring them new playthings, new speckled shells, to discover on the shore.
That's a beautiful and hopeful way to end it. So the process of questioning and dismantling old beliefs, while painful, ultimately leads to newer, more beautiful truths.
That is the core message. It's a powerful call to move beyond simple rules and rewards and instead find a more personal and life-affirming form of virtue.